Alright, and here we are at the flea market. Oh, hello, fake Santa. Thanks for welcoming us to the flea market. This is the Wentzville Flea Market in Wentzville, Missouri. It's where I live. So I'm going to take you around, check it out a little bit. Sorry for some bad camera work, but let's get going. Alright, so here we have our first seller of the day that has some games. To my right, actually, here. So looking down, it looks like he had some Xbox games, a lot of DVDs. Some of the sellers that have DVDs will have games mixed in, so I always kind of check those out. As you can see, just put a Halo Reach out there. This is mostly newer stuff, so I wasn't really interested, just moved along, nothing really that great. Alright, and just a little bit farther down from this vendor, I am going to kind of walk by this guy. I know he never has video games, but for some reason I always peek down this table. And oh my gosh, he has video games. But again, newer stuff, not particularly interesting. Just going to move along. I didn't buy anything here. Alright, so here's a guy with some more DVDs. As usual, I'm going to take a look. I didn't see any games here, as you can probably tell. He did have some action figures on the table. They were Rescue Heroes, which are a dime a dozen these days. My kids like them, but I have plenty of them. So you'll see I passed by some sellers on the way through here. It's because a lot of these guys are here very often. You'll see me pass by. I'll look at usually like sellers that have toys and things like that. So I'll take a peek in their wares. So this one I'm actually moving into. He usually carries some electronics. He is a seller that's there quite often. It's a Hispanic guy, so he usually has some games. Prices are usually not great. So I'm going down here. As you can see, I've stopped. I'm actually looking at something here. And what I found, which my bad camera work is not going to show you, is a Game Boy Color in a Game Boy Color pouch with 4 or 5 games. There's some good games. There's a yellow game in there, but it was Donkey Kong and not Pokemon, but nonetheless, Donkey Kong is a decent game. So I'm taking a look at it. In a second, I'll ask the guy how much it is, so I'll let you guys listen in if you can hear that. Oh, and there's also some Xbox games there on the table. They were all pretty useless Xbox games that I had no use for, so I skipped over looking at those. Okay, so I don't think you're going to be able to hear this conversation here, actually, so what he is saying is that there are more games. And I thought he was talking about the ones in the pouch, but no, he is actually referring to some more games. So he's going to go over here and actually dump out that a bin over here. I think it's the red bin that you could see slightly in the camera. And he's going to pull out like 6 or 7, maybe 8 more games from this. And he essentially tells me that he will sell me all the games and the Game Boy Color, which is the Atomic Purple Game Boy Color, and the pouch for $25, which, sorry about my son in the background there. I do buy this, so you will see that in my next pickup video along with all the games that I got.
Yeah, you do. You do. Right, yeah. Two more, yeah. That's one there. Yeah. How much you asking on it? How much? $20 for everything? 30? All right. Yeah. I'll think about it. How much you asking on these? 25 for everything?
Okay, so if you couldn't hear, he started out at 30 and then he said 25 for everything, so that's what I ended up paying. He also had some Intellivision games there, and he wanted $3 a piece for it. I would never pay $3 for an Intellivision games. They were decent games, but you find them so much, and they weren't even in box, and most of the time when I see Intellivision games, they're in box, so I passed on those. But like I said, I did get the Game Boy Color and the games.
25. I'll do 25. Yeah, I'll do it. It's 20. I'll pass on them. I don't need them that bad. Yeah, and that's fine. All right, thank you.
All right, so here we had a few DS, PlayStation, I think, and Xbox games. Nothing spectacular. Didn't really end up picking anything up. As you can see, there's a Hannah Montana game, some PS1 games as well. Looks like DVDs, which I always look through. So didn't end up getting anything at this one. All right, now moving over to the front, more of the front row of the flea market. Looks like this guy over here has got some electronics, which nothing special, but I always look at those tables just to see if maybe a game slips in somewhere. And here we have a seller that's here every week. I always look at their stuff. I bought a couple of PS2 games from them. They usually have random toys and things like that. That was a guide there for a random game. DVDs. I'm gonna look at some PlayStation 2. I actually got Mr. Mosquito from these guys for like a couple bucks, I believe. So that was a great deal. So I always check out their wares every time I'm here. Didn't particularly have anything this time. Didn't get anything from them. Now there to the left, you'll see a keyboard. Now I always check out keyboards at the flea market because sooner or later I'm going to run into a Miracle Piano system, which was for NES or Super NES. I'm obviously looking for the NES one, but I haven't run into one yet. This guy had some random stuff, just kind of mixed in. No games, but if you look right there to the middle of the screen, you'll see a Space Invaders plug and play. Now I really like the plug and plays. This one was boxed brand new. I think he wanted $10 for it, which is more than I'm ever going to pay for a plug and play. I think you'll get one more good look at it from the front end here in a second. So I didn't end up buying anything in this booth, but it's kind of cool to see a box plug and play because I've never actually noticed them in the stores. I only get them at yard sales for like $1 or two a piece usually. Oh look, a PS1. The most common system you'll ever see at flea markets. I think I have 4 or 5 of them in my room right now. So yeah, passed on that one. That being said, PS1's a great system, but there's so many PS1s, and if you're going to buy one, go for the Slim. It's a much more reliable model. Here's another booth with games. Unfortunately, the flea market has gone far more towards newer games. You'll see some N64 games there. It was mostly cheapo titles, and most people want way too much for them. I didn't even ask about them this time. As you can see just to the right there, which I'm going to come closer to here, there's actually an ASCIIWare Super Advantage. I'm picking it up right now. Great controller. I already have one. I did not end up picking that up because I do already have one, so I didn't even ask the price, but I figured I'd leave it for another collector. So it was a cool thing to see because you rarely see those. I found mine in a garage sale a couple years ago, but it's a great controller. So I would definitely pick one up if I saw one and needed one. But if you already have it, why take it? I left it for someone else, and hopefully a collector got it, and that's somebody who wants to resell it. All right, so walking up here, coming up to one of the resellers here at the market. These people, I believe, are Eastern European descent. Um, Sometimes they have NES games. I don't know if this is the same people because I can't tell because there's like 3 or 4 different groups of them. I don't really pay attention to who they are. But when they have NES games, their prices are just horrible. So as you can see, I spent very little time there and moved along. There wasn't anything good anyway. Alright, coming up to another booth that has some games I could see. They're still setting up, which people are really slow to set up this flea market sometimes. They can start setting up at 6, and we're well past probably 7:30 at this point. As you can see, there's some PlayStation and Xbox games. I'm looking at something in particular. You'll see it in a second, probably. I think I pick it up. So, looking down through here, this is a reseller. I mean, it was pretty obvious based on their prices and what they have. There's a Game Gear there. Never buy a Game Gear from a flea market. That's almost guaranteed not to work, and you're going to have to repair it. Well, I say never. If you don't have one, go ahead and buy one. But as you can see, well, you can't see, but the prices were not really that terrific. But What I did see was something very interesting. I ended up getting it. It's the Oregon Trail, which came in a wood box. I guess it was an updated version released probably late 90s, 2000s. It was very cool looking, but I didn't end up grabbing it. Alright, I typically look when I see toys at a seller. This guy had Hot Wheels is what drew me in. And there's a bin of games here. Nothing particularly that great. PlayStation 2, Xbox, lots of sports games. You can't see them because I'm a bad cameraman. But I kind of look through them all the time because you might run across something rare, so you always got to look. But I didn't end up buying anything here. I moved along um, here soon and, walked past the Hot Wheels. Right, there's some Cabbage Patch Kids if you didn't see. Interesting little things. This is people with a bunch of bins, which is not always the most fun thing to look through. But I figured I'd take a chance. Most of these bins I could just kind of peek in and see what was in there. But I figured I'd take a look. Joe Camel, nice advertising. If you're interested in that, I guess you might want to buy Joe Camel advertising. So I'm walking, about to leave, and I look down in the bin and I see this. Now, this is an Atari 1010 tape drive. It was actually to record, like make copies of cassette games, which a lot of people didn't even know games came on cassettes. So I went in, I held on to that, looked through the box. There's nothing else in the box. Some random things. I didn't even know what half of it was. There's some vet covers, obviously, but it was just a random thing to find in this box, an Atari 1010 tape drive. And that actually went to my buddy Bob, who's a big Atari collector. I didn't have any use for it. The plug that was plugged into it was some random plug. I don't even know if it works. Bob will let me know at some point, but it was $3, so I ended up grabbing it. For $3, I think that was a steal. They don't go for a whole lot, but $3 better than where you'll find it out in the wild. It did have a broken button on it, but I figured Bob could probably fix that.
I don't need a bag. I'm just throwing my backpack here. Thank you.
Okay, now we're spotting something. There is, if you can see it, it's an Atari 2600. It's actually a Sears Telegames, I believe. Can't remember if it was for sure a Sears Telegame, but interesting thing, if you look down here, somebody made him a lap pad joystick. They put like a 2x6, cut a hole in it, and inserted one of the Atari joysticks. I think it was just taped in there. It was a very interesting thing. I didn't buy this. I think they only wanted like 20, 25 bucks for the Atari, which is a decent price, but I have Atari. I don't need a new one, so I passed on that one. Now here I am in the slight small indoor space here. You'll see I'm at a vendor here, and they always have games. But this is one of the crazy people that you'll run into at flea markets. Now, I unfortunately did not get footage of the price of these games, but there are some NES games. Next video, I'm hopefully going to have some footage of the actual prices of these games. I need you guys to actually see these prices just to believe them. She has just random stuff, like some Wii games and stuff, and some of it's not priced badly, but the NES games, there's some insanity happening there. Now here we have a new seller at the flea market. He's been there one previous time I've been there. You can see he's got a large grouping of people. These are people that don't pay attention that flea markets should not be charging prices. This guy was mostly retail. As you can see, he's not a good seller. I mean, look at his stacks. Everything's stacked so you can't see the titles. They're in rental cases. I would guess he bought out rental stores at some point. There's a lot of box stuff. There's some PSP games in front there. Just a lot of random stuff, but this is all eBay prices, which is not what I'm going to pay at a flea market. Now I might run across something I have to have and I might buy it, but as you can see in looking at this guy would not move for one thing. He was just in the way the whole time. But I'm going to look to the right. He's got a ton of box games. This is the kind of people that I think take away from us guys who are out hunting and working hard to find these games at decent prices. Also back there you'll see a TG16 B shoe controller, which is very cool. It was about 30 bucks. That was not a great price, not a bad price. But none of these prices were terrific. I did not buy anything from this guy. I don't want to encourage this kind of behavior, so that's why I didn't buy anything. Alright, here we are coming up to another reseller. This is one of the decent guys. He used to own a game store here locally. I guess he got out of the business. Now he has, the rumor is he has a ton of games. And I believe it, because a lot of times when I come out, there's different stock every time. So I'm looking here, he's got some NES games and stuff. He doesn't put a lot out every week. And I think he still buys stuff to resell at the flea market, but his prices are very decent. He usually works with me. I bought a number of things from him at times. As you can see, I just picked up a PlayStation 2 Shinobi. I really should have bought that. I didn't buy it, but price wasn't fantastic on it. But if you do buy some stuff from him, he'll work with you. He's a really nice guy, so he's one of the good resellers, and I don't mind him at all. So I do look at his booth often. Like I've said, I bought a number of things from him. Didn't buy anything today, but he didn't have anything that was that fantastic. And here's one of the situations you're going to run into at the flea market, people thinking they have gold when they really have pyrite. So what I'm picking up there is an Atari 600 XL. This is definitely an Atari day at the flea market. It had a game in it, Wizard of War. I talked to the guy. I'm looking at it. It is so dirty. If you guys can't tell, it looks like it's been sitting in an attic for years. Dust has settled in, and it would take a Brillo pad, I think, to take some of this dust off. So the guy sees me looking at it. He says,
How
"Oh, I
much you
have
want
all
for
the
it?
cords and stuff." You can see him talking to me there. I
50.
have all the cords and stuff, and he says he wants $50 for it.
Yeah, I give
Well,
you 50 on it. Thanks.
that's really about what it's worth. Maybe even in box on eBay. Maybe a little bit less. I mean, maybe a little bit
Appreciate it.
less out of box. I start to walk away. He says 40, and there's a couple games with it.
Thanks.
I'm not buying it at that price. If he would have said 15, maybe 20, he might have been able to sell it to me. But with the condition, I could not even guarantee it works, and I couldn't do it. And Wizard of War, like I said, was a good game, but not today, not for 50, definitely not. Alright, so that's going to do it for episode 1 of Big Game Hunting. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments how you liked it. I will do better on camera work next time. And like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.